27 earthquakes. Not in a week, not in a month, in just 24 hours. And as I'm recording this right now, on January 7th, 2026, the ground beneath 500,000 people in Naples, Italy, is still shaking. This isn't a disaster movie. This is real life, happening at this very moment above one of the most dangerous supervolcanoes on Earth, Campi Flegrei. Imagine lying in bed at 3 in the morning, and suddenly your entire apartment starts trembling. Your windows rattle. Pictures fall off the walls. Your children wake up screaming. That's exactly what happened to thousands of families in Pozzuoli just yesterday, January 6th, when a magnitude 3.1 earthquake ripped through the city at 3:23 am. But here's what makes this absolutely terrifying. That wasn't an isolated event. It was just one of 27 earthquakes that struck in a single 24-hour period. 27 times the Earth moved. 27 warnings from the volcano below. And it hasn't stopped. Right now, scientists at Italy's National Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology are watching their screens in disbelief. Their seismographs are drawing lines that look like a patient in cardiac arrest, jagged and relentless. The earthquake swarm that hit yesterday isn't slowing down. No, it's accelerating. And the really disturbing part? This isn't even the worst of it. Because while these 27 earthquakes were shaking the surface, something far more sinister has been happening underground for the past 6 years. The ground beneath Pozzuoli has risen 1.33 meters. That's over 4 feet. In just 6 years, an entire city has been pushed upward, inch by inch, day by day, by forces so immense they defy imagination. Let me put this in perspective. Every single day, the ground rises 2 millimeters. That might not sound like much, but imagine your house lifting up 2 millimeters today, another 2 millimeters tomorrow, and again the day after that. For 2,190 days straight. That's what's been happening to Pozzuoli. And here's the part that should make your blood run cold. The last time the ground rose this fast in 1982 to 1984, 40,000 people had to be evacuated. Buildings cracked apart. An entire neighborhood called Rione Terra became a ghost town, abandoned for over 50 years and still too dangerous to inhabit today. But this time, there's a difference. This time, 500,000 people are living on top of the danger zone. 500,000 mothers, fathers, children, elderly grandparents, all going about their daily lives, while the supervolcano beneath them breathes in and out like a sleeping giant. And yesterday, that giant shuddered 27 times. So the question isn't whether something is going to happen. The question is, what happens when 500,000 people are sitting on top of a volcano that refuses to stay quiet? What happens when the earthquakes don't stop? What happens when the ground keeps rising? Stay with me, because what I'm about to show you isn't just data on a screen. It's a real-time warning system that's flashing red. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what these 27 earthquakes mean, why scientists are more concerned now than they've been in 40 years, and what you need to know if you're anywhere near this supervolcano. So let's talk about what actually happened in those 24 hours. Because when I say 27 earthquakes, I need you to understand what that really means. These weren't random tremors scattered across Italy. Every single one of them struck in the exact same location, directly beneath Pozzuoli, in the heart of the Campi Flegrei caldera. The strongest one, that magnitude 3.1 that woke everyone up at 3 in the morning, was felt across the entire Bay of Naples. But here's what makes this truly alarming. It wasn't alone. Just 10 hours later, at 1:54 p.m., another earthquake hit, magnitude 2.9, then another, and another. By the time the sun set on January 6th, the count had reached 27. Now, I want you to think about something. Have you ever experienced an earthquake? If you have, drop a comment below and tell me what it felt like, because I want to know. Would you be able to sleep at night, knowing the ground could shake at any moment? But here's where it gets even more disturbing. These earthquakes aren't just happening randomly. They're what scientists call a seismic swarm, and a swarm is very different from a normal earthquake. When you have a typical earthquake, you get one big shake, maybe a few aftershocks, and then things calm down. But a swarm, that's when you get dozens, sometimes hundreds of small earthquakes clustered together in a short time period. The Italian National Institute of Geophysics has been tracking every single tremor. Their seismographs show that all 27 earthquakes occurred at shallow depths between 2 and 4 kilometers below the surface. Now, why does depth matter? Because shallow earthquakes are far more dangerous. When an earthquake happens deep underground, the energy dissipates before it reaches the surface. But when it's only 2 to 4 kilometers down, all that energy slams directly into buildings, roads, and homes. People feel it, structures crack, and the psychological impact is devastating. Let me show you what the data reveals. Since January 1st, just 7 days ago, Campi Flegrei has recorded over 60 earthquakes. That's an average of nearly 9 earthquakes per day. But yesterday alone accounted for 27 of them. Do you see the pattern? The activity isn't steady, too. It's spiking, it's accelerating. And that acceleration is what has scientists on edge, because it means the pressure underground is building faster than it can be released. Now here's the critical question, and I need you to really think about this. If the ground is shaking this much now, what happens when the pressure reaches its breaking point? What happens when shallow earthquakes turn into something bigger? Sure, scientists know that the ring fault system beneath Campi Flegrei is capable of producing a magnitude 5.0 earthquake. That would be the strongest quake this region has seen in over 40 years. It's not magma. At least, not directly. What's happening 4 kilometers beneath Pozzuoli is something called a hydrothermal system. Imagine a massive underground reservoir filled with superheated water, over 400 degrees Celsius, trapped under immense pressure. This water is being heated by the magma chamber far below, and as it heats up, it expands. And when water expands underground with nowhere to go, it does 2 things. A study published by Stanford University in May 2025 completely changed how scientists understand Campi Flegrei. Using artificial intelligence, researchers analyzed seismic data and discovered something shocking. There weren't just 12,000 earthquakes. Between 2022 and 2025, like they originally thought, there were 54,000. The AI found 42,000 hidden earthquakes that were too small for humans to detect. So here's where we are right now, at this exact moment. The Italian government has Campi Flegrei at alert level yellow. Yellow means attention and continuous monitoring, but not evacuation. It means children going to school, wondering if the building will shake during class. It means families keeping emergency bags packed by the door, just in case. It means elderly residents who lived through the 1984 crisis telling their grandchildren stories about the day. 40,000 people had to flee their homes. And it means every single time a car drives by or a door slams, people freeze for a split second, wondering, is that another earthquake? The psychological toll is immense. Imagine living your entire life in the same city, the same neighborhood, maybe even the same house your parents grew up in. And now, every single day you feel the earth move. And here's the question I need you to answer honestly. And please, drop a comment below. If you were living in Pozzuoli right now, with 27 earthquakes in one day, and the ground rising 2 millimeters every 24 hours. Would you stay and wait for the government to tell you to evacuate? Or would you leave on your own? Because that's the decision thousands of families are wrestling with right now. Now, let's talk about what scientists are watching for. Because there are specific warning signs that could push the alert level from yellow to orange, or even red. Deep earthquakes below 4 kilometers would signal magma movement. A sudden spike in carbon dioxide emissions from the Solfatara crater would indicate gas escaping from deeper sources. A magnitude 4.0 or higher earthquake would mean the ring fault system is activating in a major way. Right now, none of those thresholds have been crossed. But here's what keeps scientists awake at night. The 1982 to 1984 crisis started exactly like this. Small earthquakes, gradual ground uplift, and then, suddenly, everything accelerated. In just 2 years, the ground rose 1.8 meters and 16,000 earthquakes shook the region. Neighborhoods were evacuated, buildings condemned, lives uprooted. That's the terrifying reality of Campi Flegrei. It doesn't need to erupt to destroy lives. The earthquakes alone, the ground deformation alone, are enough to make an entire city uninhabitable. So what can you do if you're watching this and you live anywhere near Naples or Pozzuoli? First, make sure you have an emergency kit ready. Water, food, medications, important documents, and a battery-powered radio. Second, know your evacuation routes. And if you found this information valuable, if you want to stay updated on what happens next with Campi Flegrei, hit that subscribe button right now.